Think about your kids. They ask you for stuff, and they don't even feel guilty about it, right? It's kind of like those Geico commercials. When you're a kid, you ask for stuff. It's what you do. They're, can I this, can I that, can I this all day long. And they don't even care if they get no's because they know all it takes is one yes, right? They know if they ask enough, they'll eventually get a yes. Well, how about you? Are you afraid of hearing no? My guest today on the show says you should actually set goals for how many no's you get, knowing that the more no's you get, the more yeses are bound to follow. Join my conversation. It's going to be a good one with Andrea Waltz on today's One Simple Thing podcast.
It's time to build a better business by building a better you. This is One Simple Thing.
Welcome to the show. Dave Kirby here with you. Pleased to be joined again by Andrea Waltz, who's co-author of the best-selling book, Go for No. Yes is the destination. No is how you get there. Andrea is a corporate trainer and speaker and coach. She's passionate about teaching audiences and people just like you how you can overcome the fear of failure and rejection and reprogram how you think about the word no. And it's really a fascinating conversation. I want to bring Andrea in right now. Andrea, thanks for being back with me today here on the One Simple Thing podcast.
My pleasure.
Your book is called Go for No, which I love the title because it's kind of counterintuitive for what most of us might think of. We want to go for yes, but Go for No. Yes is the destination. No is how you get there. We're going to get into what that means here today. But do you find that there are certain people that maybe are mentally tougher than others or just more cut out for this kind of go for no mentality than some?
Yes, absolutely. And I have no recipe for why that is, but I'll tell you over the years with all the speaking engagements that we've done, every now and then, and I have to say it's few and far between, but every now and then someone will come up to us and say, I totally believe and live the go for no philosophy. I have no problem with hearing no. I have no fear of hearing the word no. And they say, so this is great, and I believe in what you guys are talking about. That's really a rare person, though. Most people are somewhere between I can tolerate no, but I don't really like it, and it doesn't make me feel good, and so I admit that, I kind of avoid it, to abject fear and terror over the idea of getting a no, being rejected, to where it's really debilitating because it's like pulling teeth to get them to try new things and to try this theory out.
Yeah, my wife has a friend who, when we go out to dinner together, she wants to take everything home. She's like asking them if they'll bring more rolls so she can put them in her takeout box. And she's like, that ketchup, could you scrape that off the plate and put it in a little container for me? And I'm just wanting to crawl under the table, right? Because she'll keep asking them for stuff until they tell her no. And I'm so just great. Totally mortified.
Right. That's so funny. Well, and the funny thing about that is we teach people all the time to, in their business, whatever you're selling, product, service, idea, whatever, a lot of what we teach has to do from a business and sales standpoint. But I tell people all the time, try it in your everyday life. So if you get to a hotel and you're checking in, ask for an upgrade. If you're on an airplane, ask for a second bag of peanuts. I mean, it could be the simplest of things. But when you practice asking and putting yourself in the position to get no, then you can kind of have some more fun with it. And it really helps, I think, the people that have more fear around it, especially in the business world where they really have a lot of anxiety.
In chapter 17 of the book, you ask what I think is a pretty powerful question. You say, what if we decided to make each no we receive, in each rejection we encounter, something that empowers us? Instead of avoiding no, what if we went out of our way to actually go for no? We talked on the last episode about a mindset shift. That is definitely a mindset shift.
It is, and that's really where we're trying to get people. In fact, one of the phrases that we use is to intentionally increase your failure rate. So on the last episode, we talked a lot about failure and changing your mental model of failure. And once you do that, now the next step is intentionally increase that failure rate. Intentionally go out and hear no more often. And in our traditional how we've all been taught and trained. I call it a go for yes world. We've all been taught to focus on yeses, and if we think that we're not going to be successful, if we've somehow divined and have some wisdom that, okay, this person's going to tell me no, there is no way they're going to allow this or say yes to me, then what we do is we shut it down. When you intentionally go out of your way to collect no's, that just doesn't matter. Now you get to have fun with it, and you say, this person's going to tell me no, but I'm now intentionally trying to collect no's and hear no more often. And so what happens, Dave, is we have people write us all the time who say, things happen and I have opportunities fall into my lap that I never would have had before because I'm no longer creating all of those judgments.
You know, I'm thinking about myself and how focused I've been on yes for most of my life, and I guess most of us are. And I find that I've been more apt to make bad deals because I'm so interested in the yes, right? So I might give more than I think that I probably should, or you know what I mean? So I'm so obsessed
Yes.
with the yes that I'm willing to get taken advantage of sometimes.
Well, you're not alone. In fact, I remember one of my favorite quotes. We actually filmed a documentary movie ourselves about this and interviewed a bunch of people. And one of the guys in the movie said, a good no is better than a bad yes. And
Yeah.
right, we've all been there, absolutely. And I think it's easy to do to get focused on yes. One of the things that we teach people is to kind of create a no awareness. And so when people learn our philosophy, when they learn our strategy, they sometimes aren't really even aware of, how many no's do I get? Am I yes focused? Am I no focused? And so we tell people, take a week or a month, depending on how long you want to go, and think about, especially from a sales standpoint, if it's kind of a sales thing, how many no's are you hearing? And if you're not hearing any no's, then you're probably not going after a big opportunity or talking to enough people or making enough presentations, because if you're not hearing any no's, right, then you're obviously kind of limiting yourself or just kind of looking for the low-hanging fruit.
You talk in the book about actually setting no goals, kind of like our sales goals, right? Except we're literally intentionally setting, okay, this is how many no's I want to get this day, this week, this month, right?
Yes, no goals is such a fun thing to get you motivated, or what I like to say, notivated. Yes, and so what we teach is that you come up with a goal of how many no's you're going to collect for a given day or week, sometimes a month, but I kind of like a week better, because when you have a month, then what happens is you kind of, you end up procrastinating on your activity. So instead of saying, I want to get 2 yeses this week, you say, I'm going to go out and collect 10 no's this week. Now what's happened, so it's interesting, and we kind of lay this out in the book, is that say you set that goal, and on Wednesday and right in the middle of the week, you've got those 2 yeses that you wanted, but you only have 5 no's. Well, now what you normally probably would have done in the old thinking is you would have said, well, I've got the 2 yeses, I'm done. But with setting a no goal of 10, now you still have 5 more no's to collect. And typically when you do that, then you obviously create a lot more opportunity to get a 3rd yes or a 4th yes, or, you just open it up that way. And that's the fun thing about those no goals, is it tends to drive your activity up, keep you on a hot streak if you're on a hot streak, as opposed to when we hit our traditional yes goal, if it was 2, say, and we say, okay, we're done, and who knows what we could have done with the rest of the week.
Is there a process that you cover or teach on how to set our no goals? How do we know what our no goal should be?
That is an excellent question. And the answer to that is kind of, sort of. Kind of, sort of, not entirely, because the first step in that process is to create that no awareness. And the second step is to set a goal. Now, you can back into it. So you mentioned at one point, people kind of knowing their numbers. A lot of times they know how many no's it takes to get a yes. So you could back into your no goal that way and then say, well, if it takes 10 no's to get 1 yes, and I wanted 2 yeses, then maybe I need 20 no's, or 30 no's if I want 3 yeses. So you can back into your numbers that way.
So can we figure that out? I'm just thinking maybe go back over our calendar over the last, 90 days or so?
Exactly.
How many appointments did I have and how many sales did I make? And we'll kind of figure out what that ratio is, right?
Just kind of figure out that ratio and then play around with it and see, well, how many no's is it taking me? And one of the things that I kind of laugh, but I think it's human nature to do this, is people ask me all the time. They say, well, Andrea, I called somebody and left a message and they didn't call me back. Can I count that as a no? And I always say, well, no, we're talking about real hardcore, legitimate, the person knows what you're trying to ask them and you know it's a no, not a I'm too busy to get back to you, this isn't a priority for me, or whatever's going on with people. So I caution people not to set a no goal that's too outrageous, because you want to get a good no. This is not just, well, I'm going to leave 10,000 messages and then say I collected 10,000 no's. That's not what this is about.
And we're getting near the end of the episode here, but I'm just thinking about this. And so, you gave the example of, say, my yes goal is 2, but my no goal is 10. Mm-hmm. So in the old way of thinking, as soon as I get to the yes goal, I kind of mentally shut down, right? But that only gives me 2 opportunities to make a presentation this week. Whereas if I go for the no, I make it at least 10 presentations, which means I'm honing my skills more. I mean, I'm exponentially getting better at presenting what it is I'm saying, because I'm hearing no more often and I'm learning what things people object to or whatever. So I'm constantly tweaking that presentation to get to yes better.
Yes, and you hit the nail on one of the most important things I think it benefits really of those no goals, absolutely, is that when we're just going after yes, you're right, we have fewer presentations, we have fewer conversations, what have you. When you go for no and you're out there and you're talking to more people, you go through a learning process and you do have the opportunity to figure out what you're doing wrong. Now, of course, the key is, and people say, so I just hit my head again and again and again, and I just get no after no. Well, eventually you have to look and say, wow, I've talked to 50 people this month and I got 45 no's. Where is that no coming, right? And where is my gap? And you can start to kind of figure that out. But when you don't have the numbers to really look at that, then how do you know where those gaps are? How do you know what if you're getting lucky, or what conversations, what works and what doesn't, type of thing?
Yeah, that's what in fact, I wrote a blog post about this. Failure is not the enemy. Failure is what causes us to make the tweaks that make success possible. So,
yes.
So it's absolutely vital that we hear those no's and fail, because it's what causes us to change our direction to get to the point of the yes.
Exactly. And then, in fact, there was a quote by a sociologist, and he said, I don't divide the world into failures and non-failures. I divide it into learners and non-learners.
Yeah, that's great stuff. So how do we what do we put in practice today? What's our action step for today as we listen to this episode?
So today's action step really is to collect a no or more no's, if you will. But I would just throw it out that for our audience here is just to get one extra no, something that you weren't planning on, and then see what happens, and then set a goal from there.
That's a good step. So we take baby steps. Just get one more no, and then we can start cranking it up from there.
Yes.
Good. Thank you very much, Andrea. I'll tell everybody about your book here in a second, but as I went through it, it's just a treasure trove of stories and kind of real-life examples of how to put this into practice in our lives. So thank you again for being here.
My pleasure.
Andrea Waltz, my guest today on the One Simple Thing podcast. Her book is called Go for No. Yes is the destination. No is how you get there. It's available through the banner ad on our website. Just go to onesimplethingonline.com. Click on the banner for Andrea right there on the right-hand side of the page. It'll take you to Amazon where you can get your copy of the book. Would recommend you do so. I'm going to go for no right now. Would you please leave us a rating and review for the show? Please don't say no. You go to, again, the website, onesimplethingonline.com. Click on Support the Show in the top menu, and that'll take you to a page that has all the links necessary for you to leave us a rating and review. Just had a couple here in the last couple of days. In fact, Marion said, I love the podcast. It's short and to the point. I can listen in the car when I have 15 to 30 minutes. I had another one here from, looks like Dago Girl 2. It says, thanks for the great To The Point podcast, and not for not wasting our time with chit-chat. I love that. That's hopefully what we are exactly doing, right? Not a lot of small talk here, just great content. from some wonderfully smart people. So again, if you want to leave a rating and review, just go to onesimplething.online.com and then click on support the show. I would sure appreciate that. Like I said, hopefully you'll say yes, right? I'll see you next time. Andrea Waltz going to be back with me again. We'll talk more about what it means to go for no on the next episode of the One Simple Thing podcast. I'm Dave Kirby, and thanks for listening today.